All right, welcome to the FFL America Agency Call. I'm excited to be interviewing a new rising star agent, Mr. Shawn Simpson. Many weeks already. In his first few weeks, he's already been able to help over 10 families in a week. He has an incredible background in entrepreneurship, and it's exciting because I think there's a couple of different people that join Family First Life. You look at people's stories and you say, hey, if that guy can do it, I can do it. But then you look at some other people and you say, hey, if it's good enough for him, it's good enough for me. And I kind of look at Shawn's story and it's like he already was an entrepreneur and he sees the value in business. And he says, hey, this is a good business model. You look at like a Mike Curry. Hey, he comes from appliance repair, no sales background. You say, hey, if that guy can do it, I can do it. I look at Shawn and I say, hey, if it's good enough for him, it's good enough for me. So if anybody's out there comes from a previous business background, I'm excited for you to hear Shawn's background and story. So Shawn, I don't want to steal the thunder from you. I'd love to hear how you found out about us and what you were doing before Family First Life.
Yeah, so before Family First Life, well, I'm still doing it actually. I'm a real estate investor, entrepreneur. So I started off flipping houses. Well, way back when I started in '96 going door to door selling steaks, chicken, and seafood. I was one of those meat guys, knocking on the door, saying the same thing over and over again. I could still recite my script after saying the same thing over and over again, but I tweaked it so many times, right? So you tweak everything. But anyways, I trained a bunch of guys on how to sell steaks, chicken, and seafood door to door. After that, in 2011, I went to go sell windows, doors, siding, heating, and air conditioning with Sears. 2013 rolled around. I got in a car wreck, hurt my neck really bad, got a big settlement. And I said, you know what? I can go spend this money on a house, or I can go spend this money on a car. I'm going to go invest it in myself and buy some education. And so that's what I did. I wanted to get into real estate. I already knew the repair part of it. And so I decided, you know what, I'm going to go to an investor and pay somebody to teach me how to, rehab houses, wholesale houses, and buy a rental property, buy assets. And that's what I did. So 2013, I started wholesaling houses, which simply means you go negotiate with the seller, put it under contract, then you sell your rights to that contract to another investor. I did that for a long time. Then I started rehabbing houses. I still rehab houses. And then on the side, I take the good ones and I keep them as rental properties. Now we have about 40 properties. We own an apartment complex up in Sioux City, and all of a sudden I do a lot of personal development throughout the day, right? I'm always listening to something to keep my mind busy. That way I don't start going off the deep end thinking about something else, right? So I listen to Brad Lee. A lot of people have heard Brad Lee. In fact, there's probably going to be a lot more people listening to Brad Lee after this call, but Bradley's awesome. He's kind of like a Joe Rogan in a way. But he interviewed Shawn Mike. And after about 10 minutes, I was like, I don't know anything about life insurance. I don't need life insurance. I already have it. I'm going to turn it off. But Shawn Mike, you know how he is, his personality, he kept me on there. And then he started talking about this policy to where it's like a cashback policy. I was like, what are you talking about? So he talked about the CBO 100, where after 30 years, you just pay on it, has living benefits, pays out 100%. And then at the end, if you outlive the policy, you get all your money back. And I was like, I'd buy that policy. Then he started telling about how you can help so many families with this company, and the agents he takes care of first, and the agents by taking care of the agents, you take care of the families, right? Because more families we can help. And I thought that's a pretty cool concept. And so he started talking about the percentage of commission that we would make, and here I am today, man.
That's awesome, man. And there's a lot of passion in your voice. I can tell that you're super passionate about what we have going on here. Where does that come from? Like what's the main reason, kind of why you're building this and why you're working so hard? Because obviously you could have found plenty of success in doing what you're currently doing, but Why is it that you decided to now take on another venture? What are you working so hard for?
So so a lot of people know who Zig Ziglar is. If you don't, you should go check him out. But he's super awesome. He has this one quote that I've always liked to live by. And it says, if you want to get what you want, you need to help enough people get what they want. And so I think that is the epitome of life, right? In real estate, I can do the same thing. But in this business, you can really, really, really do that. If you help enough people, help them help enough people, you can get what you want. The cream rises to the top, right? And so I see this business as an asset. In any business you start off with, you got to work your butt off. You got to put things in place. In my real estate business, I had to start by marketing to people. I had to figure out the marketing department, right? I had to buy houses or buy data that have houses that I want to buy, skip trace them, get the phone number, and then have somebody call them or me call them. And then I would possibly generate a lead from that. We still do that. But here, we don't have to do that. We can just go buy leads. This is the easiest business to go out and teach somebody how to do. And so if I bust my you-know-what over the next 2 to 3 years, I won't have to bust my butt doing that. I can just go help people and train them on how to bust their butt and help other people. It's just an amazing system that's set up.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. I see it as an asset and an investment.
Thank you. I mean, yeah, and you coming from the real estate investing background, I mean, that means a lot hearing your perspective on that. And obviously from that background, obviously it's an incredible profession to get into, but look at the time that you spent to learn what not just paying for education, but the school of hard knocks of going out there and buying a house, rehabbing it, finding out one project after another. Hey, actually, it was a lot more expensive than we thought it was going to be. Okay, we're going to get out with just enough money. Okay, learn from our mistakes. All right, let's do the next one, do it a little bit better. So it's like that's something that someone can get into. And I love this business because you have, such a similar ability to earn money, but the learning curve is it's so shortened. You said you talked about getting into that in 2013. We're now looking at 2022. The amount of knowledge that you've gained in 9 years, and then there's still people out there who obviously have even more knowledge than you in that industry. Then you have FFL and insurance in general, and you've been in for less than 90 days, and you've been able to figure out how to help 10 families a week. And that's pretty amazing. So if there's anybody out there that maybe comes from a similar background, or maybe somebody who's trying to recruit someone from a similar background, what would you say are the things, maybe the hot buttons, the things that would be seen as valuable to someone in an industry like what you came from, and why FFL might be a good thing to either throw on as, extra income or maybe another new full-time gig?
Well, I mean, for me, this is probably one of the easiest businesses to get going right away. I mean, the way the system is set up, really, the biggest knowledge base that you really need to have is in the products. But because of the way the system is set up, and there's a big but there, you don't need to have the knowledge in all the products. In fact, I still don't know a lot about all of the products, but I'm able to help 10 families a week easily, right? So, I mean, really, all it is just helping people. I mean, they filled out a form to request information from us, and we're providing them stuff that they want, right? They want information. We go out, we call them, we set an appointment with them to get them the information. And then you go out and show them the policy and give them the best deal on the policy and give them what they need. And guess what? They're protected. Their family is protected. And I'm telling you, I'm getting goosebumps right now talking about it. When I take a picture of that person after I'm done, I'll remember that person every time. Every time I look at that picture, it puts me right back into that house again. And I know that if something were to happen to that person, they're covered. There's no financial burden that they're going to have. I've had a lot of financial burden in my life, and I would not want that for anybody, because there's 2 bad days in everybody's life. And one of them, everybody has to go through, right? That one bad day is the day that their loved one died. And for me, when my dad died in 2006, that was like one of the worst days of my life. The second worst day that somebody has is when they have a financial catastrophe. They lose their job, they lose their work, their house, they lose their car, and it could be all three. But sometimes, every once in a while, that day is the same day. They lose a loved one, and now they have to figure out how they're going to bury that loved one when they're mourning. They have to figure out how they're going to pay for it. And for me to walk in there, show them something that they want and something that's affordable for them, and they could possibly get some money back depending on the policy that they sign up for, it's the best feeling in the world. I mean, and that's why I do this. I love helping people. I mean, the name of the company says it all, family first, right? So, I mean, we help our family and we help other families do the right thing first, right?
That's awesome, man. I love it. Share with us a little bit about how you got started so quickly. What were the things that you focused on? I guess if you could share with the new agent right now, what would be your number one piece of advice for someone to get started as quickly as you did?
So everybody says the same thing. 85% of this business is on the phones. 10% of this business is in-home or on the phones, however you want to do it. I do a little bit of both. I like telesales and I like in-home because I can't sit in my office all day long. I'll go crazy. And then 5% of it is knowing the products. Well, after a while, you learn the products. But in order to get started fast, I mean, I've been in sales for a long time. It's about saying the same thing over and over and over again. Some people say you got to have a script. Some people say you don't have to have a script. I believe you always have to start off with a script. Now, there's 50 million scripts out there, right? FFL America provides scripts for you. So what you can do is write it out and then write out another one and make your own script. And then here's the key. This is what is going to speed up the process super fast. Say that script before you even get on the phone. Say the script 150 times. Just say it. Then every time you say it, add a little bit of emotion to it. Then every time you say it again, tweak it a little bit. And by the time that you're done saying it 150 times, you're going to be able to say it in your sleep. And probably you'll wake up your wife or your husband saying it in your sleep. And then guess what? You start dialing and you're going to be like, I don't even know what to say when you start dialing. But guess what? That person picks up the phone. That verbiage is going to automatically just spew out of your mouth and you're done. I mean, and then you got all of a sudden 8 to 10 appointments the next day and you're like, how in the world did I do that?
It's powerful. I think that most people, they're not willing to take the time to practice, and practice is so important. I know that for me, I did exactly that. If I look back, I took that script and I read it out loud. I practiced it to my wife. I recited it in the shower. And now I'm at a point where it's almost just auto suggestion for me. I've done the same script in the same way thousands and thousands of times now, where I could have a text message coming in and I could be answering that text message well on speakerphone, speaking that script, because not everyone can do that, but I've done it so many times that my mind can be in two different places and I can be completely removed from the script and still doing the script. So most people aren't even willing to practice it a couple of times. One thing I recommend for every new agent is that on your first dial day, obviously practice it on your own, but why don't you jump on a call for 5 minutes with your manager and just say, hey, I'm going to say the script a couple of times. The first time, just let me get through it. The second time, throw in a couple little jabs at me to throw me off course. And the third one, I want you to be really mean to me. And it's just, let's see how you react. And I think every new agent has to do that. And if you haven't taken the time to do that, jump on with your manager, say, hey, let me just go through my script 3 times with you. First time, let me get through it. Second time, throw a couple jabs at me. And the third time, go hard at me. And now you take the next 5 minutes. Hey, here's a few little tweaks that you can make. Hey, if you didn't pause there, they'd stay on the phone. Hey, if you just tweak that right there, your little tonality, everything changes. Hey, you're asking yes and no questions, only yes or yes questions. But the idea is you got to practice and you got to get feedback. So final piece of advice for any new agents out there, Shawn, How can somebody go out and just get out the gates fast?
I think that's it. Just start off. If you can start off on the phones the right way and just start busting your butt by calling as many people as you possibly can, block off that time. Don't get distracted, and prepare by saying that script over and over and over again before you even get off the phones. I mean, you'll surprise yourself at what you can do. I mean, it's really not that hard. It's super easy. It just takes the time of going through that. Literally, most of the time when people stop themselves, it's because of what's in between their ears. And the only difference between successful people and unsuccessful people is that successful people are willing to do what the unsuccessful people didn't do. And that's the only difference. So just go out there, buy some leads, call them and call them and call them, set some appointments, and then the next day, call your manager when you're in the house. You're going to help a lot of families.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Shawn, for joining us. We really appreciate you. We're excited for all of your success moving forward and excited to see you continue to climb up the producer leaderboard, going for Hall of Fame, as well as that manager leaderboard as well. So very excited, and thank you so much for joining us, man.
Awesome. Thank you, Jamie.